Now I'm making cute little baby gnomes using my Bambu Labs X1C, and I painted this using Bambu Studio. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen for Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog. This is vlog number 405 for April the 21st, 2025, and this is Easter Monday, and I hope everybody had a good Easter weekend. Got together with friends and family and ate food and had a good time. We certainly did. We went to my sister's for dinner last night, and she cooked, well, actually, her husband, my brother-in-law, cooked lamb on the barbecue, and it was delicious, absolutely delicious. And yeah, the whole evening was very, very nice. So yeah, we had a good Easter. So let's turn our rented lips, must be a little chocolate in there still. Yeah, let's turn our attention to what I have been working on. And yeah, bits and pieces. This is the Barn Star Sampler. Okay, you've heard me talk about this many times. Well, we're getting a little bit closer to getting this completed. I have done now 17 block sets out of 20, so I only have 3 block sets left to go, and I think those 3 block sets are fairly straightforward and not as many pieces as in some of the blocks. Then we can start the job of putting it all together. And you want to know something? I'll be very happy when it is all done. I have been persevering. I mean, this is a 2-year project. I started this 2 years ago. Yeah. And it isn't a difficult project, but as I've said before, many little bits and eats up a lot of time. But more on that tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter. So let's move in to YouTube channel of the week. Now, of course, today is going to be a lot about 3D printing because I have been doing, amongst other things, I've been doing a lot of experimentation with the 3D printer, especially the brand new one. And I've been learning a lot along the way. And it's funny. I mean, I've had a 3D printer for what? 5 years? Something like that. And just since I got the Bambu printer, I have been learning a lot more. Just when I'm getting really comfortable, though, with the new Bambu X1C, they come out with the Bambu Lab H2D. And I'm telling you, it sounds like a fantastic machine. It does more than just 3D print. It does a whole lot. It has a laser for, burning wood or other things. It's got a knife feature in it for cutting out, like a cricket. Pretty big a cricket. And, it's got a whole lot of other features as well. But because it's so new on the market, and I've been watching a lot of videos about it, and it's a very expensive machine. It's about twice the price of an X1C. So you're talking, in Canadian money, you're talking after tax and shipping about $4,000 for this machine. So this is not a toy. And it's a major investment. So, as I said, I've been watching a lot of videos about it, and I'm not so certain this is the time to buy an H2D. There are some quirks in it. But anyways, I did do a quick review, if you're interested in these machines, on a comparison between the Bambu Lab H2D and the X1C. You know that recently I bought a Bambu Lab X1C printer, and I absolutely love it. I think it's the best thing since sliced bread. But of course, Bambu has come out with an even better, supposedly better printer called the H2D. And it does a lot of things that the X1C does and a lot more as well. It's got a bigger build volume, and bigger's always better, in my mind anyways. And so I've been watching a lot of videos that talk about the features of the new Bambu Lab printer, but I found this video that compares it to what I already have. And since the H2D is a very expensive printer, I'm very interested in hearing about a comparison because Well, it's about $3,500 Canadian for this new printer, which is almost double the price of the X1C. So it's a major investment. And, well, I don't see one of those in my near future. But in the meantime, I would like to know how it stacks up against what I already have. So if you're interested in that kind of comparison, then you're going to want to see this particular video as well, especially with poop. Yes, they poop. And poop is an expression that's used in the 3D printing world for the amount of waste material that is expelled when the printers change colors. And then, of course, there's whatever I said, the size, and there's also the noise. Yes, they do have noise levels, and for some people, this is a big concern. So if you want to know more about all of this and how they all compare to each other, the brand new machine from Bambu and the one that I have, then you're going to want to check out Bambu Lab H2D versus X1C poop, print size, noise, real life tests. So yeah, my recommendation, if you're an experienced 3D printer, you might want to bite the bullet and go for the brand new Bambu Lab one. If you're not so experienced, if you don't really want to tinker around too much with machines, if you want something that works right out of the box and you want it for half the price of an H2D, then I recommend the X1C. I have been very, very happy with it so far. But stay tuned. Who knows? Knock wood. I've done a lot of things with it, and I'm going to talk about a lot of those things a little bit later on. But right now, let's talk about what's in the show notes. Well, you're going to find a link for Sewing with Stephen, always on Wednesdays, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, runs until about 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the day. Come and go as you please, though. You don't have to be there all day. You don't even have to arrive at 9 o'clock. Whatever fits your schedule is fine. We do not have any political discussions. I know that lately this has become a real bugaboo. Yeah, where's that word come from? You know, we're tired of it, aren't we? So this is a time to escape from all the media hype and blasting at us about everything that's going on between the United States and us in Canada and everything else. We're going through an election right now in Canada too, so that's heightening things even more. And yeah, it's just a lot. Just a lot. So turn off your TV set, turn off YouTube, except for me, and and join us on Wednesdays. The regulars that are there are a fun bunch of people. We learn a lot from each other, and new people are always welcome. We open our arms wide for you, so no need to fear anything at all. So yeah, so that's on Wednesdays. Links in the show notes. Okay, and there are various other links there for you too that come from what I'm talking about today and from last week's videos as well. So lots there. Do check out the show notes. A lot of people don't check out show notes on YouTube videos, and part of the problem with that is, and why you don't check it out, is because you don't see them. But there's a little button right there in the description of the video for the YouTube, in the little box below. You'll see a little word that says more. Click on that. And, you know, creators like to put in links to anything they're talking about, products and things like that, or where to go for certain information on certain things. So don't neglect the show notes on any YouTube channels, because they're a wealth of additional information. Okay, so let's take a look at what things are looking like outside today. So there we have it. This picture was taken at 6:40 a.m. this morning, and yeah, looks like it might be a nice day shaping up. The lawn is getting green. Walter bought, well, we were at Costco the other day, and Walter bought grass seed because Walter likes to reseed the lawn every year, and the goal here is the thicker you make your lawn in terms of grass, the less weeds. And since here in Ontario, pesticides, weed killer, all that kind of stuff is banned. Yeah, it's a never-ending battle. especially when the neighbors on one side of you have nothing but weeds as a front lawn. Yeah, and that really gets Walter's goat with that. For me, a perfect lawn is pavement. Sorry, but it is. I am not a gardener. Okay. I like it to look neat and tidy, but I'm not a gardener. So let's take a look at what the forecast is. Well, for today, right now, currently it's 4 degrees C and it's going to a high of 13 degrees C. That's nice. That will feel nice. And do we have any precipitation? Oh yeah, we've got an 80% chance of rain. And I am seriously thinking about going out for a walk after I do this morning. I'm just looking at the radar to see when we can expect that rain. Well, it looks like we're okay until about noon, and then we got some rain coming in. So if I'm going to do a walk thing, I'm going to have to get it in before then. I am going to try, I don't know how successful I am, to go for a walk every day like Walter does. Now, some days, I've done it 3 days in a row, I've gone out with him. But you want to know something? I'm cramping Walter's style when I go out for a walk with him because we talk, of course, as you would, but Walter kind of likes his alone time with his headphones plugged in listening to his music. So I'm trying not to be a bug about this. I enjoy having the company when I go walking, but yeah, so I'm going to try what Walter does. I'm going to plug in my buds and listen to something. Now, what I'm going to listen to? Well, I'm going to listen to some music, of course. But I am seriously thinking, and I've never done this before. You'll laugh at this. I've never ever listened to an audiobook ever in my life. Mainly because I don't know if I can concentrate on it. But maybe when I go for a walk, I can. So I may have to do some experimentation here. But I have to keep moving as one has to, especially when you get up in years. If you stop, you stop. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm going to give it a go. And it doesn't hurt that it would, kind of control my weight a little bit better. Um, I need to lose a few pounds. And Walter's making me jealous because he's been losing a lot of pounds. So, yeah, that's a plan. We'll see. You see, mornings are my best time of the day. I get the most of the things I want to do in a day, I get them done before lunch. I get them all done in the morning. I'm a morning person. But here's the slap in the face for that. I may get a lot of things done before noon, but after about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm starting to fade. Now, that would probably be a good time to go for a walk. And I may try that too. But yeah, because otherwise what happens is I end up watching what I call a docunap, which means I turn on a documentary. I love documentaries. I turn on a documentary and fall asleep on the couch. But I wake up just in time for the ending of the documentary. So I always see the beginning, I always see the end, I never see the middle of it. And yeah, and we watch a lot of television in the evening. So, I got to get this exercise in, kind of a thing. We'll see how that goes. I mean, I used to get up 4 o'clock in the morning when I was working, when I was a teacher, and I would be on my treadmill for about 45 minutes every day. And that helped to maintain my weight. But, I don't have the treadmill anymore because where the treadmill was is where Lucy is now, my long arm. And I just didn't have the ambition for it then. So I'm not buying another treadmill because, quite honestly, treadmills are boring. They really are. But I didn't really want to go out for a walk at 4 o'clock in the morning. Plus, I had to get ready for school and stuff like that. But anyways, I need to get into some sort of, light exercise routine. Okay, enough about that. Let's go to what's pissing me off this week. Well, this one's kind of a little bit weird. So I found the picture I want to show you, and this is a very typical picture, which I think you have seen many times before. And this. This is a politician. Well, it is Mark Carney, actually, who's running for prime minister here during our election. But what I want to focus on are all the people in the background. And we've all seen these kind of pictures where a politician gets up to make some sort of an announcement, and they have all these, what I call bobbleheads, behind them. Why do I call them bobbleheads? Because everything that comes out of their mouth, these people are bouncing up and down agreeing. Where do these people come from, and why are they there? I suppose politicians like this as a photo op because, you know, it looks like they have all this support. But do we need them? In fact, what I think it does is it makes us not trust them. I think it does the exact opposite from why they do this, what the reason is for why they do this. When I see a bunch of bobbleheads agreeing with a politician, no matter who the politician is, you know that these people have been scooped up and said, hey, you want to have a picture with this guy? Because wherever the location is of where they're making their announcement, usually like it's in a factory somewhere, outside of a business, in a community center, something like that, these people don't just voluntarily get up there and walk behind these people, especially those that are in the upper levels of the government, because there are guards, to keep these people away. So they just say, hey, do you mind? We're going to do this announcement. Would you guys like to be in the shot? And of course, people go, ooh, I'm going to have my picture taken with someone famous, kind of a thing. So whether or not they really, truly are there for support, that's questionable. Oftentimes when they do these kind of shots, say in houses of government, the people they've gathered are other politicians, or they're people, not so much politicians, but people from the various ministries, the everyday federal worker. And they, hey, we're going to do this. Everybody come down now. If they work for one of these politicians, they're right there the whole bit because it's part of their job. But I really think it undercuts the sincerity of the politician that have all these bobbleheads there. And they don't seem to get that. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just me that sees it as something that is negative rather than something that's positive. I don't know. But we see it so often, we probably don't even notice it anymore. Why can a politician not stand up at a podium, make their announcement all on their little lonesome? Why do they need these other people around them? What does that bring to their campaign? I'm not sure. I know for me, it doesn't bring a thing to it. It just makes me annoyed. Yeah. And then you have to think about how much money's being spent on some of these photo ops that are set up. I mean, it don't just happen. If you notice, there's always a sign, like in this particular picture, we've got Canada Strong right here. They always have signboards and plaques. If they're in a factory or someplace like that, they've got these, I don't know what you call them, backdrops, I guess, with the logo of the company and with some kind of saying, like in this case, Carney's using the slogan, Canada Strong. You see that. Well, somebody has to make those. Those cost money. And in the case of a politician, unless it's during an election, it's us, the people who are paying that from our tax money. Yeah, getting all these people organized, somebody has to do that. It's not the politician coming in and saying, hey, you want to be in a shot with me? No, he has people. Those people need to be paid. So there's a whole lot of wasted money to stage these performances as well. I don't get it. Why can't a politician just stand up there on their own and honestly look at the rest of us through the lens of a camera and say what they need to say? Why do they need everybody else for that? They wouldn't want to put me in one of those pictures because I'll be the guy at the back making bunny ears over the top of them. And then someone will shoot me. Yeah, probably one of their security people. But So this is more of a pet peeve than a rant about these things. I just got thinking about it because lately here in Canada, we're seeing, because we're having an election, all the politicians and their bobbleheads are right up front row center for us all to enjoy. Well, yeah, we'll see what happens with all of that. Okay, so let's talk about the grow lights. And I want to talk a little bit about a system that my sister bought recently. But we'll talk first of all about our grow lights. Okay, it's sad. This is the end of the lettuce. Walter's going to do some cleaning out of this and plant some new lettuce maybe this week. It should be this week. And yeah, this is what happens when you don't harvest your basil on a regular basis. It gets a little sad. However, the peppers have new life. And if you look carefully in this picture, you see some new peppers coming on. It has flowers. Once they flower, the new things, oops, I guess that's the only picture I have of that. The new things start growing. So this has been, as you know, our peppers have been a great success. Okay, my sister, no. Let me see if I can find the picture that I want to show you here. She recently got into the grow light situation too, except she's doing hydroponics. And we were over at their place for dinner, as I mentioned earlier, last night, and she was showing me her system. And her system looks very much, trying to find the exact one she has here. She bought it from Amazon. Yeah, this one right here. Let's just blow that up. Yeah, and it is doing wonderfully. She showed us her tomato plants. She put in tomato plants. You start everything from seed, and the sucker within less than a month, she had a huge tomato plant to the point where she had to take it out of this hydroponic and actually plant it in a pot. But it's too cold to put that outside. So she's got it sitting in a pot in front of her patio doors, hoping that that will be enough sunlight for it to produce something. And she's been growing romaine in it, and that's been coming up beautifully. So I don't know. We'd have to find a place to put it. But I'm thinking maybe we should get one of these. They're not that expensive. In fact, they are a little less money. This particular one is $169, $170 Canadian dollars on Amazon. Our grow light systems cost around that, or a little bit more actually. So it's comparable to it, and it's very digital. As you can see, it's got this front panel here that adjusts temperature of the lights. You can set the lights for how long you want them on. They have presets in there, and there's a little fan to circulate the air around it. And it's actually very attractive. It's not huge. That's the one thing that worries me about it. But I could see that might be good to get some of the plants that take a little longer started in this, and then transplant them to our grow light system as well. I don't know. So use it more like a starter. I don't know. Need to talk it over with Walter a little bit more. And if we were to get one, we'd have to figure out where we're going to put it. That is the other problem. Maybe in the Lucy room, but everything goes in the Lucy room. We'll see. But she has it right in her kitchen. And as I said, it's quite attractive. And I imagine it looks even nicer when you've got things growing out of it. She just started a new batch of things. I guess you have to soak your seeds for 24 hours or something like that. Then you plant them, or they sit in they don't go, you're not planting them. They go in this little container that sits in water. And there's 2 bottles, she had them, of this liquid fertilizer kind of stuff that you kind of mix together and pour in the water, and that's the nutrients and everything. So, and she says it's very inexpensive for the bottle of stuff. I don't know if they show that here. Yeah, this is the stuff here. And okay, so it's about $24 for the kit, the 2 bottles. I'm not sure how long it lasts. Seems to me you get a good month or so out of a set. So I don't know. There is added expense to this over top of the grow lights, but it's kind of interesting. Yeah. So it's an alternative, put it that way. All right. So that's about it for the grow light situation. I'll be glad when the weather gets nicer and we can start, getting things out on our deck. But that's going to be at least another month away yet. Probably closer to the end of May, really. So, yeah. Okay, so new products. Did I buy anything? Yes, I did. But nothing that exciting. I did buy some stabilizers and threads for Monfill. I needed to stock up for my embroidery because I've been doing a lot of machine embroidery lately and loving it. And I bought new shoes. And I already mentioned them. Well, they came. They were the Skechers that are built so you can just slide your feet into them. Now, I have a pair of Skechers that I love that I don't have to, they look like they lace up, but they don't. You just slide your feet in those too, but you still need like a shoehorn or your finger in behind, in the heel of it to get your foot in. These ones you don't. The back on them are flexible but firmer, and you just put your foot in, and that's it. It pops back up, and they're great, and they're very comfortable. I've been wearing them regularly now since I got them tail end of last week, and going with when I'm doing the walks things with Quilter, I wear them. Very, very comfortable shoes. Now they come at a price; they are not cheap. We bought them directly from Skechers, which is an American company. Yeah, we had to go that route. But we do have Skechers stores here, but they never have our size. We have small feet. I basically take a size 7. I think these are actually 8s that I bought, and they fit very well, but they were like $155. Now you got free shipping, I believe, on that, and they took a while to get, because of course they had to come across the border and all that stuff. But I don't regret spending the money on them so far. They are great. So if you want comfy shoes, look at the Skechers, and especially when you get to a certain age where you might be able to get down, but you might not be able to get back up again. When you're putting on your shoes. I love these, and great for going through an airport. If we have to take off your shoes, well, if you've got something that laces up, or you've got, they don't have any place for you to put on your shoes. You just got all this crap. You've got, if you've got a jacket that's gone through the machine, if you've got, a carry-on bag and all that kind of stuff, you've taken everything out of your pockets and all that, and then you're trying to organize it all, and there's all these people behind you too, and nobody wants to be held up to get to their gate for their flight. So yeah, it's a bit harrowing when you do that. That's the word I wanted, harrowing, when you do that kind of thing. So makes your life a little easier if you can just, grab your shoes, put them on the floor, bang, bang, you got them on, and away you trot. Yeah. Okay, so that's all that I've bought. So let's get into talking about 3D printing, because I've got several things to tell you about all of that. So I've been playing around with the settings on my on Bambu Studio, which is the program that you use to create these models. And there's a part on it where you can paint your colors in certain areas of the models, which, in other words, customize them. And this is really interesting and pretty easy to use. And that's what I was doing with all of these that you see in front of you. They didn't come colorized. I put the color on them. And as I said, it's very easy to use, and it's not something I could do with my old Creality KEs. So this is another feature of the Bambu Lab printers and their Bambu Studio, the software, that makes it, just that step above anything else. And I'm really enjoying being able to do this. And there are tons of other features in Bambu Studio as well that I'm really loving. So I have my wall of gnomes. Now, I used to have a lot of other things on this before, kind of a mishmash of stuff. At one point, I was collecting benchies, the little boats that you use to test your printer out, because people take those and modify them. That was a thing for a while. So I just boxed up everything that was there, and now this is the wall of gnomes. that are sitting there. And I think it's kind of cute. The other thing that I created, but I did not create this in my Bambu. I created it on the KE, but I was really impressed with the quality of this particular model. They call it a ruin. It looks like an old Gothic church. It's a flower pot. Yeah, the central part is a flower pot. Now, I haven't tested it yet to see how well it holds water, but if it holds water okay, I have a philodendron upstairs that I've been rooting for a couple of months now, and it's ready to get into some dirt. I'm going to plant it in this, and I think that's kind of a cute idea. I am seriously thinking about redoing all my philodendron pots. They probably, some of those philodendron might be getting pot bound, a root bound, so it may be time, and I might look for other things like this, and it make an interesting conversation piece, as with plants hanging out of the different like things you can make like this, if I can find other ones. But the one thing I want to point out about this is the quality of this print on my old KE. Now the Creality KEs are good printers. I like them. They were the best printers that I've ever owned until I bought the Bambu. However, I'm still using my KEs. I have 4 of them. And what I'm finding is if I put the model into the Bambu Studio slicer as opposed to Cura, which is another very popular slicer. This may all be Latin to many of you out there, but those of you that are into 3D printing know what I'm talking about. I have set up the settings in the Bambu Studio for creating the G-code file that the printer will read, the KE printers will read, and it does a better job. And really, I have not adjusted any of the settings, except for temperature, that's it, on the Bambu Studio for the KEs, and it's done a great job. So there must be something that Bambu has put into it, they think they call them profiles, that is really giving new life to my KE printers, which makes me not so keen on buying another X1C printer right now. Oh, I want another X1C. For sure, I want one. I love them. But, it comes at a price, as I said before. So, and if it ain't broke, why fix it? The KEs are doing a fantastic job right now. So I have found all of that out in my experiments, and I am not done experimenting. There are many more miles to go. I'm still dealing with poop. Okay? This is the common complaint of everybody that owns a printer that has an AMS, which is the color swapping system, because it has to purge filament when it changes to the next color. And depending on how many different colors and how frequent those colors need to be changed, you produce a lot of poop. And I have shown you poop. Well, if you look over my right shoulder, you see something flashing. This is my latest discovery for at least cutting down on some of your poop, or what to do with your poop. I have 2 big bags of poop, okay? Yes, I'm going to keep saying the word poop because it's fun. But that's what it's called, 3D printer poop. And, well, this little light box thing is really, really cool. And, well, I'm going to show you a little video I made of this and how I made it. And I'm going to put that in here right now.
Here's what to do with your poop. You can make art. And what I did was I put all the poop into this box that I 3D printed, and there are different panels that you can slide in here, and I might make a few more. I'm experimenting with lighting in behind it, but you can see that the light sort of fades in and out in different colors. I think it's kind of cool. Now, if I can get a light that would turn on automatically and turn off automatically, that would work really well. So I'm going to have to do some exploration to see what I can find for that. But it's one way of using up your poop. The problem is I don't have enough. I have too much poop. So I changed what I had on the back of this. Now I can control it, and it's plugged in, so I don't have to worry about batteries wearing down or having to recharge it. And I'll probably leave it on all the time, and I think it's really cool.
So yeah, and I'm going to make 2 more of those light boxes. and with different cutouts on the front, and put them over there as well. And now that I have figured out my LED strip lights and how to use those and how to have them so that I don't have to put in new batteries, or that they can be on all the time, I think it's fun. Now, does it get rid of a lot of poop? No. So I'm still playing with settings for that, but I'm coming to the conclusion that poop just happens. So I may just have to put up with poop. I hate to throw it out. I mean, I make little poop bags that I put into the once a month draws that I have on Stephen and Walter Live and that kind of thing. Um, just as a joke, really. But also get rid of it, send it to other people kind of a thing. But I just produce too much poop. I can't keep up with my poop. Yes, I'm going to keep saying poop. Okay, moving on. Let's get away from this poopy conversation and let's talk about a clip from one of our original Stephen and Walter lives, and this is about one of our trips to London, England. And we talked here in this particular clip, we're talking about getting around in London, which right now is very topical for us since we're about to go in another few weeks off to Holland, and to get around Holland we're doing the train system. So yeah, so this is S&W on getting around in London.
Walking you have to do even in the subway system is to get from one train line to another.
London is not accessible to people who have difficulty in walking. I mean, they do in the subways. The subway stations go like this. The escalators go down, and you can't see the bottom nor the top. And it's like this.
They're
this
really
angle.
steep.
If you had vertigo, you would be passed right out from that. And you go down and
the
you walk,
escalators also move really, really fast.
Yeah, they move
go
at a
like
clip.
2 or 3 times the speed of what a shopping center goes at.
They do have elevators at some of the station stops
for
people with wheelchairs.
Yeah,
and things.
But then those poor people can only go to the station
that have them, and they mark
Right?
them on their
Yeah.
map, what's successful and not. But boy, that's got to be a real pain in the butt for them to figure out, how to get around. But the one thing about, and I was going to talk about transportation, the best way, if you've never been to London and you're going to London, okay, don't think about renting a car because you're not going to go anywhere in a car. Okay, it's maybe not quite as bad as New York City, but it's bad. But it's so much easier to do the tube, and the tube is so extensive. It looks like you can get anywhere you want to go in the city and in the areas around, like on the edges of the city, without any problem. And it's not terribly expensive. We bought a Oyster card. Actually, we had 2 Oyster cards left over from our last trip, and we didn't know if they'd be any good or if they had any money left on them, because you charge them up with so many pounds. You put on whatever you want onto them. And so when we first got there, we wanted to charge them back up or see if we could use them. We asked them how much was on them. We had 15 pounds on each of those cards.
Yeah, so we added another 20 pounds to the card, and they have a daily maximum. I'm not sure what it is, but you can ride the subways unlimited, and once you reach your daily maximum, it doesn't charge you anymore. So that's kind of nice. So there were a number of days where we ended up reaching the maximum, but I'm not sure what it was exactly.
No. I think in all told, we spent, we charged it initially 20 pounds on a card, then we put another 20 pounds on it, and then we put another 5.
Yeah,
so 45 pounds
each
for the time we were there. We were there
and
8 days.
We took it a lot.
And we took it a lot. And they have zones. So, if you stay in zone 1, which is sort of the central core.
It's the cheapest zone.
It's the cheapest.
But then when you go past that, they charge you a little extra for.
And the reason we had it too is because we flew to Heathrow. You can take the tube from Heathrow right to where we were staying. We were staying in Earl's Court, and the subway station, or
the subway station was Earl's Court.
Was 2 blocks away from our hotel.
Right.
So we were right there. You have your suitcase, everything. And we did it on the way back. It was so easy. Like, I know there are other cities in the world, even in North America, where, this is not a big brainer here, the way to get to the airport and back. Toronto, for years, you were screwed. I mean, you had to take.
Well, now they have a train.
Now they have a link, finally. But, it's
You got a whole pile of comments there.
yeah, I know. I'm getting to them, but you know, well, you carry on the conversation while I
No,
read this.
okay, fine.
But anyways, we were talking about the food. Now, okay, let's look at the comments. Anyways, no, back to finish the story about the tube. So what you do is you just take the card, slam it on a little disc thing, and it reads it and whatnot. But best way to see London, do the tube.
And I had this idea. I don't know. I've bounced it off Walter, but we haven't discussed it in detail. Of actually for Stephen and Walter Live, we're now finished our series on Canada. Okay, you'll be happy to know. And we want to get back to talking about things that are less intense than the whole political climate and whatnot. And I thought it might be fun, don't know if it'll still work or not, but to take one of our very early Stephen and Walter lives and look at pieces of it and have us react to it now. So looking at Stephen and Walter live in the past and Stephen and Walter today. Have we changed? Were we idiots? Well, we probably were, or whatever, and maybe analyze ourselves. Maybe we'll see about that. Also, was thinking about maybe doing a behind the scenes analysis of being content creators and the things you don't see if you're not a content creator and that kind of stuff. Don't know. But we're always open to suggestions for any of the videos that I put out every week. Especially right now for So Chatty, we need some ideas because we're struggling here for something more to talk about. People have suggested we do tutorials on So Chatty. No. There's tons of tutorials on anything that we could teach you is already on YouTube from other people. And watching other people, so unless it's a specific project or something like that, is kind of boring, I think. At least I find it boring. Maybe you don't. So, yeah, but there must be other things out there we could talk about. We are working on an idea that involves our forthcoming trip to Holland as well, and like quilt stores and things, because Walter's creating a list of ones for the areas we're going to that we will maybe go in. So we might talk about those, see what they have on the internet about them, and then what might be fun is in a few weeks' time, in another month when we come back from Holland, tell you which ones we actually physically went into, and maybe I'll have some footage of that as well. I don't know. These are all ideas. They're all up here. They haven't been committed yet to paper. So if you got ideas, we are open to them. Okay, so events in the past week. Well, we had Easter dinners. I've already said at my sister's, and that was nice. And that's about it. I have been busy with the retreat, getting the final touches on everything for it. That's coming up very quickly this Saturday, April the 26th. Now, if you have not registered, you've been sitting on the fence, now's the time to register because there are spots still available. And I'm not going to close the registration until midnight Wednesday this week, which would be April the 23rd. So, yeah. If you want to be part of the retreat, you need to send me your name, first and last, please, real names. And if your email address is different than the one that you send to me, that you sent that information from to me, then put that in the body too. And don't forget, those of you that have already registered, I'm looking for one picture from you if you want to show something on our trunk show. Just one picture, no blurb, all I need is your name. That's it. Get that into me by midnight this coming Wednesday as well, and it will be part of the trunk show. That is only if you want to share something like that. Okay, so yes, and one other thing, we brought this up on Stephen and Walter Live yesterday. There are no politics during the retreat. No, I want the retreat to be a pleasant experience for everybody. It usually is. And it always has been, actually. Not usually. It always has been. And, I want people to go away feeling refreshed, that they accomplished something, that they generally had a good time with this, without any of the stress of everything else that's happening out there. Okay. So it will be a safe space for all. Um, yeah, what more can I tell you? And of course, we have the retreat cocktail party, icebreaker cocktail party for those that are registered. That'll be this coming Friday. Now, don't panic. I know you don't have the Zoom links for this yet. I will be sending that out in an email either late Wednesday or first thing Thursday morning. And everything, including an agenda for the day, the links for the cocktail party, and for the retreat itself, will all be in that email. So don't panic. Don't worry. I have not forgotten you. If you don't get anything by the middle of Thursday, then please send me an email about it. But right now, my mailing list seems to be there, things aren't bouncing back to me. Everything seems to be good with that. So, and I check and double check to make sure I haven't missed anybody on that list. So, yeah. But if by chance, by, like I said, by noon of Thursday, if you haven't gotten anything from me with the links and that, please send me an email and I'll get one right out to you as quick as possible. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, that's it for me this week. So stay tuned for other videos this week from me. Wednesday, Sewing with Steven, and this retreat. It's going to be a busy week. Yeah, for me anyways. So hope you have a good week. We'll see you all later. Bye for now.